Okay, now it's working. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Johnny. And I am hosting the show right now. We're waiting for Della to get in. And, yeah, we're going to be playing some Phasmo for a bit. I haven't even started a multiplayer one. This is just a solo run here. And let's see here. Ghost event, motion sensor, parabolic. There is no one, James. It is right now just me. And how you doing? Okay. Start to dip and then go up, then go down. There's the power. Well, we're waiting for Della to show up. And he'll be in shortly. And we have nothing. Must be in here. Yep, there we go. Alright, so we know it's not a mimic. I haven't heard from Camel yet. Oh, yeah, I suppose I could put that back over there. I might have to switch back over to 428 Shibuya Scramble. Dell's not going to be able to make it tonight, so... Hey, Sanguine, how's it going?
Hello, doing grand. Yourself?
Oh, not too bad.
That's good to hear. Playing some Phasmo?
Yeah.
How goes the game?
Just started, and... yeah, pretty much that's where we're at right now.
Are you doing this solo run or playing with some people?
I am doing solo.
So, if it ends up being the wrong type of ghost, and it just knows where the fuck you are, you're fucked.
Pretty much. You know, the usual.
Though it's always amusing when you can sacrifice someone else in order to figure out what the fuck something is.
Well, that's either usually Della or Bubba, and I do. Someone usually plays sacrificial lamb.
Because there's certain ones that's one of the easiest ways to rule out if it's something else. Like, what is it? The Dio knows exactly where you are at all times?
Yeah. God, I hate you.
So if you're going, well, it might be a Dio, or it might be this. Send someone in, have them hide, have a hunt start. Figure out if they're immediately getting their ass ate from the front.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. From last time Della and I played, these are relatively short hunts. And I don't know if I'll be able to actually figure it out unless I'm actually playing it really loose, because if it takes too long to come downstairs, I could be waiting forever for the next hunt. And of course, I have a sound sensor and cameras up there, and I can't... well, I suppose I can take a look at the cameras, see if there's anything that's popped up.
Do you have a favorite or least favorite sort of ghost to be dealing with?
Not really. We have this one camera. I had a second camera set up there, right there, in fact.
See, this game, and what is it? Demonologist is another one that's like this, as well as Devour. Is that the right one?
I'm not sure about Devour.
I want to say it's Devour, because Demonologist, you're playing a bunch of cultists. I want to say it's either Devour or something else like that, where functionally you're playing the SCP Institute, because you find out that weird shit's happening someplace, you go out, you figure out what it is, and then how to capture it. But all those games made me think, someone needs to do one of these games, only it's two teams. The first team, they go in, they know fuck all about what's going on there. They are the team that goes in, and it's playing out almost exactly like how all three of those games start out, where you're figuring out what the fuck is this. And then it should be the second team gets the information from the first team, so the first team figures out, oh, it's this type of ghost, or it's this type of mythological baddie. And then the second team gets that info and they have to prepare to hunt it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So you get all kinds of equipment, and you can't just load out so that you're equipped for everything in the hunt. You have to choose what you're equipping. So if the first team fucks up, your hunt just got a hell of a lot harder. Because you're equipped to hunt, let's say, vampires. But no, you don't have a vampire here. You have a fae. Get fucked. Or they thought it was an Oni and turns out it's a werewolf.
There we go.
So the second team equips for a specific hunt. And there's always items scattered around the map that if you went into it equipped wrong, there's still a way to win. It's just a fuck ton harder.
I think the hunt's already over. So I think we may have just had a poltergeist. So let's just guess on that, and we will call it good. Because, yeah, these are no evidence hunts.
Ah. Did you do a poltergeist bomb to see if it would scatter shit?
Yeah, it was on the stairs.
Okay.
And it was a mare, so fuck me, right? Alright.
Like I said, I think it would be a pretty fun game if they had one that did that, where it's 2 rounds, one where you figure out what it is, one when you have to actually deal with whatever it was.
Yeah, some sort of trapping would be... like, actual hunting would be kind of cool.
And like I said, you make it so that it's a shit ton of different mythological baddies that you could be dealing with. So werewolves and vampires and Oni and demons and shit like that. So depending on what it was, you show up with that sort of equipment. So your first team went, oh, it's a demon. So you get a bunch of holy water, you get a bunch of blessed shit. You go in like that. And some of that will work with vampires, some of that won't. Some of the kit will work with werewolves, some of it won't. So you have a little bit of overlap between the monsters, and then you have items scattered around that make it so that even if you get it wrong and you're completely fucked on your loadout, you can scramble and find shit in the map in order to win.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
Because currently they just have games where you're hunting and games where you're identifying. Combine.
Yeah, except for you're... Yeah, I could see where they wouldn't do that just because of the fact that you're essentially combining 2 games.
Yeah, but at the same time, it makes it so that it's a bit more interesting, and also you have the team rivalry of, man, fuck you guys, we identified that shit, you just couldn't kill it, you. Or, god damn it, you sons of bitches, you didn't call that shit right at all, we had to scramble, but we got the job done, you fucks.
Have you taken advantage of the Steam sale this summer?
Not really. How about yourself?
A couple games we got. Now that it's over, they've come up with a new sale. It's an independent game festival, And one of the first ones that pops up here is a little thing. I don't know how I feel about it. It's called Mugenics.
Nice.
And it looks pretty interesting. I'll see if I can...
Are you breeding cats in specific fashions?
I don't know. Like,
making the perfect cat society?
let's see if this will... see if I can get this to pull up correctly. I don't think this is what I had in mind when I saw it, for sure. Because
this is very strange looking.
it looks macabre, that's for sure.
Yeah, it has kind of the Cult of the Lamb visual style in the map that you go into. And also it looks like it's a similar gameplay to Cult of the Lamb when it comes to the battles. But it might not be. It might be Hex. Or not Hex, but a square-based system.
It does look like tactical.
Okay, so tactical rather... Because I couldn't tell if it was you're setting shit up tactically or if it was you are moving around that map when I first glanced at it.
So it looks like there's squares that you move, and then it, like there's this.
Yeah. So the battle and story. Strange.
Yeah. Yeah, it's odd.
So are you going to get Mugenics?
I don't know how much it is, but it is a pre-order, so probably not.
Probably a good idea if it's a pre-order. It used to be some pre-orders were fairly safe and decent bargains, and then just shit stopped being completed. And it would be sent anyways. So now it doesn't make any sense to pre-order.
Yeah, back in the NES days when you got a full game.
Yeah. Hell, even if it was... Because you're always going to end up with some jank when a game first comes out. But even when it was like, oh yeah, you'll have some server issues if it's an online game, or you'll have an occasional glitch. That was okay. Now you just get, here's a half-finished game. You guys are playtesters. That rather than us paying you to playtest the game, we just have you pay us. Fuck you.
What is the point of this game?
That shit gets old.
Level up your team as you adventure further and further from home. Collect unique items, defeat epic bosses, gain mutations, and return home so you can breed and further your bloodline. In this turn-based legacy roguelike draft sim about cats.
So it's a roguelike. Okay, that's a very strange
combination of words.
Yeah. Very, very strange.
How's it going, Travis? Supernatural the game? Yeah, that would be a way to go.
Yeah. Like I said, having it set up so that it's not just, oh, you figured out what it was, and then you fuck off. But having to figure out what it is and then deal with it, but having it be that it isn't just you figure out what it is and then you deal with it right then and there. Have there be a... No, you get properly equipped. Because like I said, there's already games that you do deal with what you figure it out it is. But you aren't getting equipped for it, so the identification, it just seems like, oh, the only reason why the identification is here is because that's the signal for the game to go from this is supposed to be you figuring it out to this is now you fighting it. Make it so that it actually matters, and make it so that it isn't a, well, once you figure it out and you're correct in what you figure it out, then you're able to defeat it. Make it so that it's not. If you fuck up the identification, you're having a hard time. Combat portion. That way it becomes more exciting. And it gives you an advantage.
There's a couple of indie games that seem kind of interesting, and I think they mainly come because I saw them on Terry's playlist.
Mm-hmm. Which ones?
Desktop Dungeons was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember much else without actually looking at his list again.
Fair enough. I'm going to quickly mute my mic so I can manipulate the bag that I just dumped out, because it needs to have its corners squared up.
Yeah, my mom was telling me that around where she lives, there's a couple fires, and there's a firefighter that passed away. Unknown if it's like as to whose fault it is.
House, wild, or
wildfire.
Okay. So they aren't sure if it was arson, accident, natural, or something else.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty sure it was man-made, but they're not 100%. Therefore, we're focused more on getting it contained.
Yeah, that always comes first. And there's just so many people that will do dumb shit when it comes to fires.
Yeah.
Because how many fucking fires have been caused by gender reveals thus far?
In California, a lot.
And I don't think it's just California that I've heard about that happening.
I mainly blame California.
Yeah, that's a fair blame, but it's just so many fucking times. How hard is it to figure out that when you're making an explosive charge for something like that, don't make it too spicy?
Yeah.
And perhaps don't go with an incendiary as your signifier when you're dealing with dry grass.
Or dry anything.
Yeah. Well, you can do it with dry sand. You aren't really going to hurt the desert.
That is true.
So if you're doing that shit, go to the high desert.
Unless you're making a Star Wars film, then you can pretty much put fire anywhere.
Well, then you have to go inside a building, seal yourself inside that building, light a fire inside that building.
Or go to outer space.
Then blame everyone else that, well, they must have set the fire. No, you set the fire. Because apparently that was an element of the Acolyte just recently. A bunch of people sealed themselves in a building, lit a fire in the building, and then now blaming other people. Or have been blaming other people for the fire that they set after locking themselves into a building. It's a very strange fucking show that is god-awful, and
yeah.
it'd be nice if they just stopped ruining everything that they can get their hands on.
What's the fun in that?
Good stories, movies that you want to see, television shows that you want to watch.
Stuff you can make money off of? I mean, like...
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Being able to make money, being able to make sure that all the people associated with your work are able to continue finding work. Rather than, well, you were in this thing, that was god-awful. Fuck off. Though I suppose they have that bit handled by just making the next thing that's going to be god-awful and casting as many of the same people as they can.
As one does.
Yep. Kind of like a Seagal movie.
And it's not even like some, we'll say some, are even bad actors.
Yeah.
Like, just in some of the reviews I've watched from, like, Critical Drinker and EFAP, those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Asian bad guy, Asian Ezra Miller, as they call him.
Yep.
I think Nerdrotic calls him that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that guy's not bad, but it's hard to praise something that's shit.
Yeah.
Like he does pretty good with what he has. I guess we'll call it that.
Yeah, he's not an amazing actor because I have my criteria of actors where in order to be a good so an actor can be good in things that are good and bad in things that are bad, but they aren't really standouts. A good actor is able to be the best part of, or the only good part of something that's dog shit. And then an amazing actor is able to be the actor that when someone goes, oh yeah, so-and-so was in that movie, you're going, horse shit, they were not in that movie. Oh, son of a bitch. They were. They were a major character that was constantly on screen. How the fuck didn't I notice them? Because they blend in. And none of them are in that amazing category. Some of them are borderline in the good category. Some of them are just actors, and then there's a shit ton of them that are bad actors where you're going, okay. Not only are you not good in this terrible series, but you're worse than everyone else in this terrible series.
Yeah.
like a good example of an actor who he gets a lot of roles, or he got a lot of roles, but was never a good actor. Orlando Bloom. Orlando Bloom was not a good actor. The man was attractive cardboard.
Yeah.
Because his face didn't emote. His voice didn't emote. He was just there and vaguely pretty, according to a lot of people. Which just always was, oh, okay. He's there. Rather than being a part of a show that you would go, oh, he did an amazing job. But then you have other actors that they're the highlight.
Hey, Hammer.
Evening, Hammer.
How's it going, Assassin?
And yeah, Brad Pitt. I'd say Brad Pitt is a better actor than Orlando Bloom.
Yeah.
Because I've seen movies with Brad Pitt that I'm going, he did that well. And I could tell what he was going for, emotion-wise. A lot of Orlando Bloom, he said the line and he didn't stutter. And there's really no praise, there's no emotion, there's nothing there. It's, like I said, he was hired because he was a pretty man, according to a lot of people.
Yeah. We get these questions at work so that we can participate. And the question was, what was the dullest movie that you sat through? Ooh. And I went with Napoleon Dynamite because fuck that movie.
If the jokes don't hit for you, that is a dull movie.
Yeah, so how about you on that one?
I'm trying to think. So, if it wasn't for the movie having a fairly good end, it would have probably been... God damn it, now I'm trying to remember the name of it, because it was the Kurosawa movie that was effectively his version of Citizen Kane. Only it was about a just government middle manager that found out that he had cancer, so he pushed through making a park. And that was the movie.
Huh.
He dies at the end. It was very... This is the process of making a park. But it had compelling acting. So the premise was extremely dull, but the implementation was fairly good.
Interesting.
But the dullest movie... I can give you a movie that shouldn't have been dull, but was. Does that count?
Well, it has to be dull. Just... And I'm sure that's opinion, but... like one of my coworkers put Fantasia.
Yes, it was Ikaru. That's the right one. Thank you, Assassin. And... Fantasia was pretty music, at least. But the one that I was thinking of, it shouldn't have been dull. It should have been really fun, really fascinating. Kingdom of Heaven.
Is that
It was
speaking of Orlando Bloom?
Yeah, that was part of what made me think of it. Because he was just present. That is the best and most complimentary thing that I can say about him in that movie. He was present. The director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven doesn't make it better or worse. Okay, I'll have to give that a go. Because, yeah, the theatrical, it had parts that were really good. Like the guy that they got to play King Baldwin, he was fantastic. He was compelling. The short bit that Liam Neeson was in, he was good. He was compelling. So much of the rest of the movie, it was... Oh. Okay.
I don't know. I felt that way about Troy too. So it's Troy was pretty boring as well. Going back to Brad Pitt.
Yeah, and the thing is that there's really good movies that have really slow, ponderous paces, but that pace is justified based on what the movie is about and the story that the movie's telling. Like, there's... Someone in chat's probably going to remember the name of it because I'm having trouble at the moment. There's a movie where the entire movie is a knight playing chess with death.
Sounds familiar.
I want to say it's like the Seventh Seal or some shit like that. Yes, it is the Seventh Seal. Okay, I was right on that. So, it's a fairly slow pace, and you could argue dull movie because of that.
Ooh. Gladiator 2 has a higher dislike than likes.
Oof. When did they make Gladiator 2?
It's supposed to come out this year.
Wait, so it has critic dislikes already?
I guess it has, like, anyone on YouTube dislikes.
Because if it's supposed to come out, then... Is it just the adverts are getting disliked, or...
I don't know. Like, I just pulled the Paramount Pictures Gladiator 2 official trailer. It has 126k likes. It has 248k dislikes.
That is grim. I can get the point, though, because Gladiator didn't really need a sequel. It was a self-contained story. For fuck's sake, the main characters die.
When the rap starts playing, I thought Vin Diesel was going to show up with his V8 in the arena. I'm going to have to watch that because, yeah, that's it. If it's as bad as they say it is, yeah. That is awful.
Wait, Denzel Washington and...
Yeah, Denzel's in the movie as well.
Why is he doing that to his career? Did he get divorced or something? Does he really need money? Because, like I said, it's a movie that had Everything was resolved at the end of the movie. Every character had their end at the end of the movie. What the fuck are you doing making a sequel?
After his home is conquered by the tyrannical emperors who now lead Rome, Lucius is forced to enter the Colosseum, and he must look to his past to find strength and return the glory of Rome to its people.
That just sounds dog shit. Rome's such a cool fucking time to do. You can tell movies. You can tell stories based on Rome. You don't have to do sequels to things that they had their closure. They had their end. Even if the story's good, trying to make it Gladiator 2 is a bad fucking move. And what are you willing to bet it's going to be a soft reboot?
I don't know. It seems like it's pulling up the previous. It references Russell Crowe. Hey, did you?
What? Okay. Go ahead. Did he mute himself on stream and chat?
No, I said, hi, did you?
Oh. I heard, hey, did you, rather than hey, did you. Which is why I said, go ahead. My mistake. But yeah, that's what a soft reboot is. A soft reboot references the original, but then tells the same story effectively. So, for instance, Creed, while it is in the same continuity as Rambo, it was functionally a soft reboot of of Rocky. It was in the same setting as Rocky. It was functionally a soft reboot because it was telling the story of Rocky in a universe where that story still took place. It's now just using a different character. But it did it in a decent way. It wasn't terrible. But I still just don't do soft reboots. Don't just tell the same story again and again. Make it unique, make it its own thing. And okay, you're saying that a Knight's Tale soundtrack was misplaced. A Knight's Tale soundtrack was not misplaced. A Knight's Tale soundtrack was absolutely intentional.
I didn't like it, but yeah.
I can agree that you can dislike it, but it wasn't misplaced. It was playing into the idea that they had for it, which was kind of this weird blend of old and new, because they wanted the Middle Ages to become more approachable to younger people, which that's a kind of stupid idea, but I got what they were doing. It's just a strange way of doing it. That's the reason why all their dances, all the music, everything like that was new, but then the rest of the setting was old. But yeah, there's all kinds of stories that you can tell from Rome. Tell stories of Rome. Tell stories of shit. Just don't needlessly tie it into another fucking IP. Again, not especially an IP that is done. It completed its story. There is no story arc of any of the characters beyond that story.
Freaking Final Destination. I liked the first Final Destination. The rest of the movies didn't even need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But people ate that shit up.
Final Destination is a good example of another one that you don't... It was a complete story. Everyone had their closure. It was done.
I don't know. You really didn't have an antagonist.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That because you didn't have an antagonist. So
I should say it had an antagonist, but it was like it was a pointless antagonist.
It wasn't a Freddy or a Jason or anything like that, where there's... This is someone that would continue to do this. At least from what I'm remembering, I could be remembering incorrectly. It seemed very much more a... There's fate, you were fated to die. Fate was denied, fate's coming after you. When it came to Final Destination. Am I remembering that correct, or am I remembering that incorrect?
Pretty much that's how it turned out.
And with that type of story, no, don't just keep on doing more of them, whereas it makes more sense when you're talking about a Jason or Freddy. It doesn't make a hell of a lot more sense, but at least there's a character that you're going, okay, we can continue telling this character's story.
Yeah.
And you're telling the story of Jason. You're telling the story of Freddy. Whereas if you have a movie where all the heroes die, all the villains die, what the fuck? What are you supposed to do?
Like I do appreciate, like I don't care if an ending is happy. It doesn't have to be a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
It just has to be good.
Yeah.
And like I think just kind of just being like, well, that's how it goes. No, like that's no, it's awful.
And like I said, it's one thing to have a sequel to something that there's a story left to tell, but the moment that the story's done, let the story be done.
Yeah. All right. Here's the challenge.
Okay.
You're going to show a still from a movie. You're going to guess the movie. You'll probably guess it. It's not like it's difficult. Let's see if we can get that pulled up here.
This is when I suddenly forget every movie that I've ever seen.
Alright. And because this is being weird, I'm going to delete that.
Either that or you show me a movie frame that is impossible to not recognize. Like you show me Scooby-Doo.
It's not that easy, but it's obscure, but it should be known.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, Demolition Man.
No,
No, it's the other one. The other one that I always confuse, isn't it?
possibly.
Because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
That guy's in that little fucking weird car thing.
Yeah.
And it's the game show.
I think it's a chariot.
Running Man.
Yeah.
I always confuse Demolition Man and Running Man.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, that's the first thing that popped in my head. Richard Dawson was good in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons I like Richard Dawson. Actually, it's pretty funny because I would watch Family Feud with my dad, or the family, and he was... the replays would show his episodes. And he's literally kissing every woman that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
In front of their parents.
And their spouses.
Yeah.
And their children. It's the reason why there's the constant jokes of shit like, okay, pleasure to meet you, let me just lift this up, get one hand under there, feel that one, and this one, okay, and now what's the answer? Because it was always just, everyone got hugged, everyone got kissed. Didn't matter age, didn't matter who it was. Yes, Dynamo. I don't know why I always mix up Demolition Man and Running Man, other than they're both word man.
Yeah.
But I always mix up those two. Well, they're both future societies. That's also a similarity. But other than that, not really anything. The Demolition Man was ridiculous. That's something that we need more of. We need those just absolutely what the fuck am I watching 80s action movies again?
Yeah.
Because when's the last time someone fried the Coke?
Yeah, it's...
Though, the part that everyone tends to be upset with when it comes to Demolition Man is they didn't let Dennis Leary die.
Was Dennis Leary in that one? Oh, that's Demolition Man, that's right.
Demolition Man.
I was thinking Running Man on that one.
Yep.
Son of a bitch! You got me.
See, it was my ruse all along. First I mix it up, and then I get you to mix them up too. Yeah, Demolition Man's world is fucked because it's completely gilded itself. Whereas Running Man, it's life is cheap. And entertainment is more important. Which is also a very dark future. So the question is, which future would you rather live in?
Between Demolition Man and Running Man?
Yep. Would you rather live in a world that has gone so soft it can't remember how to grow a spine?
Oh, so you mean now?
Only even worse.
I would say I would rather pick Running Man.
Life is cheap, but entertainment.
Yeah.
You just want to see Dynamo drive around his little car.
Well, I mean,
Who wouldn't, right?
exactly.
Yeah, both of the worlds, like I said, they are absolutely fucked. Because you have government tyranny in both. But I would argue that Demolition Man's government tyranny is more frightening to me than Running Man. Because in Demolition Man, they've just completely hollowed out everyone. It's... You don't have those strong emotions anymore. That's fucked up and weird. I don't like it. Running Man, yeah, it has the government tyranny, it has mass censorship, it has the fucked up frame people and then make them fight to the death for the entertainment of other people. But you're still able to feel your emotions. Yeah, but both of them kind of had that feel of you will be disappeared or rectified.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to a point where everyone is that class in Demolition Man without that being a part of it. And the only reason that there was a change at the end was because they realized, oh shit, we didn't have a response to this. So it's... I don't want to live in either of the dystopias, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably also go Running Man versus Demolition Man. Running Man's a harder life, but because it isn't that complete bleaching of emotion, it seems more authentic and more like life. It's fucked up, don't get me wrong, but I am not the sort that wants the rat utopia. Which is what Demo Man was. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, there is more that connects them than I was originally thinking. Yeah, exactly. You can still join the resistance. You can still do things in the Running Man. Whereas if you do that in Demolition Man, you're stuck with Dennis Leary. And do you really want to be stuck with Dennis Leary?
I mean, I can think of worse, but...
You could also think of a hell of a lot better.
That is true.
Also, the Running Man style of dress was just so much more fun than fucking Demolition Man.
I remember watching it when I was a kid with my dad, and I got all pouty. I can't remember which guy it was. Let me see if I can look it up on IMDb. One of the villains died, and I'm like, "Aw!" My dad's like, "He's a bad guy," and I'm like, "But he's my favorite."
Mm-hmm. In which one was it, though?
I'm trying to remember.
Was it in Demolition Man, or was it?
It was in the Running Man.
Yeah, the Running Man just had so many fucking fantastic
It wasn't Buzzsaw.
antagonists. But yeah, it's kind of like how one of the most disturbing dystopias to me is the dystopia of Equilibrium.
I think Dynamo might have been the guy, but I know it was more than Dynamo.
Mm-hmm.
Dynamo was one of my favorites, but it's been so long since I have watched that movie, and it's got to go on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they actually made a game out of it. I did not know this. For the Commodore
Vaguely remember
64.
Or rather, I've never played it, but I vaguely remember hearing it.
Amiga, Amstrad, CPC, Atari ST, Commodore 64, and ZX Spectrum.
Back when floppy disks were still floppy.
Well, let's take a look at the ratings here. Let's see here. Crash gave it an 80. Computer and Video Games gave it a 47. Sinclair User gave it a 74. Your Sinclair
Man,
gave
these
it a
are
90.
all over the place.
Oh, yeah. ZZap64 gave it a 40 on the Amiga and a 44 on the Commodore 64. Commodore gave it a 79 on the Amiga. The Games Machine gave it a 53, 51, and 60 on the Amiga, Atari ST, and then the ZX Spectrum, respectively. PowerPlay gave it a 31, and ST Amiga gave it a 73. That was all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was absolutely no consensus there. And that's sad that Yaphet Kotto died in 2021. He was always a good, no BS character. When he was dressed up, and then he had 2 or 3 distinct roles where he was the no BS like veteran police officer every so often, or veteran of insert job here. So I think he did a lawyer a few times, but he was always the older, more experienced one. Then he had the kind of young, slovenly...
What? Edgar Wright is remaking Running Man.
Why? Can't we just leave good movies alone? Remake movies that had potential and just failed. Can we do that? Because there's a lot of movies that had a hell of a lot of potential, but just did not go anywhere near what they could have.
I think it was Fireball because it was Jim Brown.
Mm. Yeah, why? Stop just remaking everything. Tell new stories, but if you're going to tell old stories, find things that had potential. Don't just go for things that were fantastic before, because then you have an uphill battle every fucking time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It is hotter than shit in here, and I'm dying, and I'm going into my air conditioner room. So I'm gonna have to call
Fair
it.
enough.
I'm dying.
Mm-hmm.
But with that,
Good.
you are hosting tomorrow?
Yep.
All right. Catch the minions tomorrow. Sanguine will be hosting. You guys have yourself a good night. Zoo is closed.
Have a good night, all.